we'll be fully prepared. Visit syngentaus.com/latest to learn more. Always read and follow label instructions.
Argentina crop still having trouble at this time. They say the rains are continuing and overcast days having trouble with only 12 to 15% of their crop now harvested. I'm Tyron Spearman for Southeast AgNet.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY only $4.99. Plus DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Yeah, I'm that drip coming down from the corner of the room. But where did I come from? I'll never tell.
Bone Dry Roofing can and will fix it right the first time using quality materials and will deal honestly and fairly with you, period. You can find Bone Dry Roofing on their website, bonedryroofingllc.com, and Facebook at Bone Dry Roofing LLC. Do it right before your roof needs a tarp to keep the elements out. Bone Dry Roofing stands behind their work to help make your home safe and secure, plus they have financing available. Remember, if you're not bone dry, then you're all wet.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. This is the 72nd. Look at me. I'm dyslexic today, Robin. The 72nd anniversary of D-Day, June 6, 1944. 72 years. I was watching this video this morning and played the audio from it on the air of a speech that General Dwight Eisenhower made in Europe after the Nazis were defeated and before the Japanese were defeated in World War II. So it was that time period between victory in Europe and victory in Japan. And the crowds of people in Europe that were cheering General Eisenhower were cheering for one simple reason. Because he led the Allied forces that ended up defeating the scariest thing that ever happened on that continent, that I know of anyway. And basically gave them back their freedom. In fact, in the speech, he says, "You know what's different about today here in London than the first day I came here, which was at the peak of the war?" He says, "Now you can go outside and feel free that there's not something being propelled across the skies that has no pilot in it. In other words, a bomb or a missile." You know,
right?
It is an amazing thing when you think about the people in our history who have had strength and courage and who just stood up for what was right and made all the differences in the world. And that's what you're looking for when you're voting for somebody, whether it's President of the United States or the City Council, right? You want somebody who's got leadership skills. Annie Marie Delgado is on the phone, and we've known Annie Marie for a long time. She used to come into the studio with her pretty self and her, and her pretty hair.
Yeah.
and her Long Island accent, which I love, because I think it's from Long Island, right? Is that where she's from? There she is right there. Good morning, Annie. How you doing?
Good morning. I love that for yourself. I need that on one day. I like that.
So where are you now? Are you in Fort Lauderdale? Where are you?
No, I'm in Palm Beach.
In Palm Beach. I was confused the two. Palm Beach.
Fort Lauderdale's way further south.
Yeah, that's right. So far away. So you've been friends with Donald Trump for how long?
Oh, cheapers, I'd say at least 26, 7 years or so.
And at that time, did he have any political aspirations at all?
Well, that's funny you should ask that. He has spoken on so many different occasions throughout the years. I just put a compilation up, actually, of video from the 80s, 90s, and on, where he always spoke of it. And back then, he said pretty much, if I'm ever needed, he didn't really think he was going to do it then, but he spoke the same exact words and the same message that he's speaking now about how important it is for our country to keep these jobs, to stop letting China and all these other different countries steal our jobs, and the same message. It's there.
Yeah, and as a guy who's involved in business, I mean, he clearly understands the importance of capitalism is not a dirty word, right?
No, it's not. Absolutely not.
And the reason I'm bringing that up, Annie, is because I was looking at his website specifically because I know you wanted to talk about the veterans issues and the donations to the veterans groups. And one of the things I liked about his plan when I was looking at his idea for what to do with the VA was the fact that the veterans would be able to pick whoever they wanted to pick, thereby making the VA have to compete. They'd have to compete with doctors who were not in the VA, right?
And not only that, to open up the state borderline so that insurance companies can compete.
Okay,
This has been a real problematic area that Obamacare has really not only devastated veterans, but the American public, period. And when we look and see how supposedly, we were supposed to be able to, according to Obamacare, provide insurance for millions and millions of people. Well, millions and millions of people no longer have insurance, and not only their deductibles have skyrocketed to you have to pay $6,000 before you can get any kind of coverage, and their insurance premiums have gone up drastically.
Yeah, here's how I see it, and I can speak from firsthand experience because I actually benefit from Obamacare. I actually benefit from it, but I can see. Yeah, but I can see how the people who had insurance before, because I had nothing, Annie. I had nothing, and so this enables me to affordably be able to have a doctor taking care of me, and for the first time in my life, I actually need it. But the problem that's creeping in for me, and I'm sure that I'm not alone in this, is that all of a sudden it's less and less. The word affordable doesn't even apply anymore.
Right, exactly.
That's the problem.
And the words "you can keep your own doctor" doesn't apply anymore.
No.
Oh,
and
okay.
That's the most devastating part. My ex sweetie, my best friend. We had his doctors in place. He had triple bypass open heart surgery. He had diabetes and other issues and cholesterol problems. Well, they had to change. He had to get all new doctors because they wouldn't cover his doctors.
Why is he your ex, sweetie? You sound like you still love him. Why is he your ex, sweetie?
Good question. We won't go there.
We won't go there. Okay, all right. But I can I can see good things for you.
Yeah.
Just hang around him more. He'll come around. Okay. So tell me.
We're best of friends, but as regards to the veterans, being able to. It is so unacceptable when we have, on average, 22 veterans committing suicide a day.
Right.
Across this nation.
Right.
That is so unacceptable. When they cannot see their doctors for 6 months to 8 months, and they have needs that need to be addressed now.
Yeah,
and we have,
and PTSD has to be recognized. I think they're making progress with that, though. I think PTSD being recognized as a real and serious illness is being addressed.
It certainly is. PTSD doesn't only exist with veterans. We have mental illness problem in this nation that needs to be addressed so desperately because there are children left and right committing suicide, and that's the silent, deadly suicide that they don't advertise that, they don't cover that. That's
children of what? Children of veterans, you mean?
No, just children. Period. I mean, children that have mental illness problems.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, in other words, mental illness is something we need to.
They have PTSD as well, is what I'm saying.
Or some sort of.
And they're not veterans, and they still do post-traumatic stress. Children that are traumatized, children that are abused, children that suffer the consequences of ugly people that should have never had them to begin with. I can tell you, I personally am going through that right now with the child that I adopted, and it is horrifying. And you see that the level, because now we used to be, we had mental hospitals that you can get them help and put them there for a while. Now that doesn't exist. Insurance companies, they won't even pay for maybe 4 months, 5 months, and they kick them out, and these kids and adults wind up committing suicide.
Andy, the way I started the program was to reference D-Day, and I referenced an interview, not an interview, but a speech that Eisenhower made when he was still a general. and he was in London, and he was talking to masses of people who were so happy to see him because they recognized him as a hero, an American hero, and they even made him an official honorary resident of London. And that is a great America. That was a great America. People who don't support Trump will say we're already great. Well, they're right, but we were greater at one time. Than we are now.
Yeah, is that? And so was the world. So was the world. Not only our nation, not only America was not America greater at one point in time, but when we look at some of these other allies that are just complete destruction from so many different levels. So it's not just America. It's a global world issue. The world was better.
Tell me, can you talk a little, Annie? Can you talk a little bit about the contribution to the veterans organizations that was in the news the other day?
Absolutely.
What I read was that Mr. Trump wanted that to be private. He didn't expect that was going to be an issue, and you could talk about that a little bit.
Well, I don't know about so much of being private. Here's the situation. When you have these are funds that he raised back in Iowa, okay, and we've had many primaries since then. But the point is that we also have to, like any other business, you have to vet and make sure, because we've come across, unfortunately and sadly enough, certain unscrupulous organizations that weren't properly using funds that, under this guise of it's going to benefit veterans, they really weren't benefiting veterans.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't just get $6 million and say, okay, here you go, Friday, I'm going to give everybody, you just can't do that. You have to do diligence. You have to be careful in the fact of to make sure, and that's called vetting. And so with each and every one of these organizations, he gave to 41 different organizations across this country. Okay? I certainly Connected Warriors, which I'm affiliated with, was a recipient, but there are many which has nothing to do with me sitting on the Board of Trustees. The paperwork was already in.
Are you a veteran, Annie? Are you a veteran?
I am not personally. My family have lots and lots of veterans.
Okay.
And my sweetie now is a disabled veteran.
Okay.
Her sweetie now.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I spoke of my ex-sweetie.
We're getting closer. Getting closer.
Yeah. It's complicated. We're all like family. Truly. Yeah. And so and that's the most important part. When you have so many different organizations and you have these funds to be able to donate and help, you want to make sure that it's going to the appropriate organizations that are truly, for instance, Connected Warriors, 90%. We only keep 89, 11 cents from $1.
So how do you vet? I mean, how are the organizations vetted?
Well, they have to provide all of their paperwork, all of their 501Cs, all of their 990s, which is the proper taxes, all of their accounting from their organizations, and someone has to go through all of that to verify.
Right.
It's not as
well. When you were here in Ocala, Andy, were you familiar with Vets Helping Vets?
Of course I was.
Okay, so now, and I'm not saying they should be on your radar at all, but they do such great work right here. Not only with raising money, but making sure that the rest of us know which organizations are shady and which ones are real. I mean, they're really good at that. And in fact, they were really good at making the local VA much better than it maybe was 10 years ago.
Right.
I totally agree with you. I remember that well. And see, those are the kind of institutions and organizations that we want to connect with, because he's not done. There are more funds coming into this to benefit the veterans. I mean, look, he raised $6 million in an hour, okay? Put $1 million of his own money.
Oh, I could do that, Andy. Come on.
Yeah, we could do that. You and I could do that in an hour. Right there in Ocala. But the point is that, imagine what he'll do when he's president.
So, okay. Can I put you on hold just for a second? We've got to take a commercial break. And by the way, put in a good word for Vets Helping Vets. They could use a little help, too.
Yeah.
Slip them a note.
Send me the info on it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
okay.
will.
Robin will.
Yeah.
Robin will. All right, let me take a little break. Annie Marie Delgado is on the phone, a good friend from years ago when she used to come into the studio. Now she moved down to Palm Beach, and she continues with the New York accent, which
she's a beach bunny,
too. Beautiful.
She loves the beach.
I'm from Palm Beach for 38 years now.
All right, we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. There's a tropical storm warning at the coast due to Colin. Some wind and rain from Tropical Storm Colin today. Flooding and isolated tornadoes are possible as well, highs in the 80s. Some wind and heavy rain from Tropical Storm Colin this evening, and mostly cloudy late tonight with a shower or thunderstorm, low 73 to 77. Tuesday will be cloudy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
You've got a garden, and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
New windows will beautify your home and bring you immediate energy savings. Renewal by Andersen of Central Florida leads the way in quality and installs the name brand homeowners trust. Visit renewalbyandersen.com for a free in-home consultation with the pros. Right now, buy 4 windows and get the 5th free. Plus, no money down, 0% interest, and 0 payments for 12 months with approved credit. Visit renewalbyandersen.com. That's renewalbyandersen.com. Offer ends July 31st. License CGC 1523333.
This is Kendall Carpenter with Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club. I want to introduce you to the finest equestrian opportunity available. If you love horses and enjoy Central Florida's mild climate and rich rolling landscape, come explore Golden Ocala. Bridle trails weave their way through this stunningly beautiful community of stately homes. Our state-of-the-art equestrian center will meet all of your equestrian needs with style. Visit us at goldenocala.com.
Do you like Vietnamese food? Well, come to Kim Long's, Ocala's one and only Vietnamese restaurant. The goal of Kim Long's is to capture the authenticity of the Vietnamese homeland and get a taste of other influences within the Vietnamese cuisine. They're open Monday through Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., Sundays, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can make reservations by calling 352-236-5791. That's Kim Long, Ocala's only Vietnamese restaurant.
Next time you're thinking about beating the train, think again. It takes a typical freight train traveling 50 miles an hour, 1.5 miles to stop. That's nearly 18 football fields. Don't try to beat the train. Florida's roads can be highways or dieways. The choice is yours. A message from Operation Lifesaver.
This message also brought to you by your friends here at WOCA News Talk 1370. We are The Source, WOCA.
All right, 21 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Annie Marie Delgado on the phone down in Palm Beach. I think you guys are being spared from this storm, by the way. It's not hitting the east coast of the state at all, looks like.
So far, it's cloudy, but one message to send everybody up there is certainly make sure you got your batteries, your flashlights, because electricity is usually the first to go out, and some water, and keep safe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, by the way, for the local listeners, the storm, Tropical Storm Colin, is, I mean, it's on our doorstep. It's right now starting to hit Tampa. You might say it's starting to hit us already if you look outside. That's part of it right there. But the real hit we're going to take will probably be in about 2 hours. It looks like it'll start, and then it'll be on and off, it looks like, until tomorrow morning. So just hopefully you did whatever you needed to do to be prepared. If you live in a like a mobile home, you might want to consider going someplace more secure. That's what I live in, Annie Marie. I don't even know if I'm going to follow my own advice, but it's my job. All right, so
That's okay.
So in the at the risk of making this sound political, I didn't mean to make it sound political, but you have a long history with Donald Trump, and I just think that's fascinating that you do.
Well, of course, and that relationship has spanned decades, and certainly I can speak from someone that does personally know him about the integrity and about the love of this country that man has, and certainly the capability of indeed bringing jobs back to this country, which we so desperately need. Now, there's always controversies in regard to how we approach that, and how he will, but. Quite frankly, I get these, well, tell him to, maybe not say that. Say, listen, he has said what he's going to say. He's going to say what he's going to say. And quite frankly, he hasn't been wrong.
But yeah, I've often thought that too. I've often thought, he should have thought that one through before he said it. I mean, there've been a few things.
And then, quite frankly, when we look at the end result of it, he's right. I mean, Kate.
But okay, yeah, I am. But okay, but here's all right. The Mexican thing. Let's talk about that for a second. I knew what he meant, and I knew what he was saying. But the country at large, or at least the media at large, made it seem like he was saying everybody crossing that border is a rapist.
Yeah, that was bad.
And then that's very unfortunate, because that's not what he said.
That is right.
Exactly.
That's not what he said. Yeah.
That's not what he said. Okay. He said they send some of those. He said not all. And certainly that doesn't apply to all, but we have so many families and so many across this country that have loved ones, children, parents, father, a mother, a pregnant mother, okay, that have been murdered, that have been raped, and that drugs that are coming across that border are endangering and killing our youth and older people, of all ages. It spans all across the board.
Yeah. Is he going to pick Newt Gingrich as his running mate, or can you not say?
Cannot say.
Well, because they just got into this riff over the judge, right, in the Supreme Court, right, being half Mexican.
Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an opinion.
But see, I mean, if you have a judge who might be offended by something that you said, you would probably think the same way he's thinking about that, right?
Well, but by the same token, it's also become evident and exists the fact that particular judge is a member of an organization that is very much so, with the Mexican against American type activities. There's qualifiers for everything.
But Donald Trump has such a mystique about him. I mean, he can get people talking to each other that disagree vehemently.
That's what I want to know, how he does that.
Yeah, that is a wonderful trait.
How does he have somebody who hates him one day and the next day, I love him?
Yeah.
How does he turn people? How does he do that?
Well, and you should hear my phone.
Annie does it. She swoops in.
I get those calls all the time, and when you speak to people and you have good dialogue and communicate, and the truth shall always prevail. I'm a strong believer of that. And the facts are there. The facts are there. All you have to do is, and that's exactly what's happened in this country, eyes wide open. People are awakened. Americans are awakened to the fact that, okay, we can't do this anymore. We are going to cease to exist as this wonderful, free country that we all know and love and grew up in, because it's right in front of us.
Yeah.
8 more years of the last 8 years, we won't even recognize.
Well, okay, I was referencing Eisenhower. There was another part of that newsreel that I was looking at this morning that I did not put on the air. And what happened after Eisenhower went to London is he went to Congress. And so I watched that piece of the newsreel too. Here's what happened when he spoke to Congress in 1944, after the war in Europe was won, but before Japan was defeated. They all agreed with what he was saying. The Republicans and the Democrats alike were in agreement. And you know why? Because the world was just saved. The world was just saved, right?
Exactly. And the world's about to be saved again. And see, when you say the world, you notice he didn't say America, the world. We're in that same exact situation again.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
History does have a tendency of repeating itself, and if we're watching this right in front of us unfold.
And the American
that's
people.
Why so many Americans are waking up to this and saying, we will no longer be silenced. We will no longer believe the propaganda of, unfortunately,
Were you ever, Annie Marie, were you ever in the room with him when he fired somebody?
That's a yes.
Is that a yes? Is that
it's gotta be a yes.
Oh, you heard the "you're fired" line?
No comment.
No comment. Oh, gosh, you had no idea that was going to be a catchphrase.
Wow.
Did he copyright that? Can I use that? Or did he?
You can't fire anybody. You're too nice.
That's right. I would have a hard time. Yeah.
No, I don't think he could. But well, you have to do what you have to do. I've seen both sides, and the other side with myself personally. As soon as he came around the corner, like last time I explained to you, he says, it's Annie. Hire her right now. That's the way he is.
Hire her, not fire her. But here's the thing.
Exactly. So I've been on both sides.
Annie, if I can say something about you, because I thought of you when I heard all the things that people were saying about his attitude toward women. I thought, well, Annie's a strong woman. She wouldn't be with him. I mean, you're not exactly a pushover.
No, he's wonderful.
I can't imagine you putting up with that if that's the way he was in the office.
Never, absolutely not. And it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
First of all, I mean, the man is a perfect gentleman. He has, just take a look at his family, look at the women in his family, and look at all the women in his organization.
I want that many women.
One of Lynn Payton, yeah, right. Lynn Payton, which is, a perfect example that worked for his organization and still does, and is a top executive. His daughter's the head.
Annie, thank you. I'm so sorry. I'm against the clock. I just love this interview.
Okay.
Go to DonaldJTrump.com. That's the website, right?
Yes.
Andy, thank you so much. We'll have you back on some other time. We'll be right back.
From Colin making a beeline toward Florida's west coast.
It won't just be flooding, says Pasco's emergency manager Kevin Guthrie. It'll be plenty windy.
So we know we're going to be dealing with some trees, possibly some sporadic tornadoes. Later in the week is going to be a riverine flooding event.
Colin's winds are now at 50 miles an hour.
Fox Radio's Evan Brown. Donald Trump under fire for saying a judge of Mexican heritage shouldn't oversee a fraud case against Trump University because he's biased. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich among the critics, while Trump tells Fox and Friends
it shouldn't even be a case. This case should have been thrown out on summary judgment. As far as Newt is concerned, I saw Newt. I was surprised at Newt. I thought it was